Hey guys.
Good morning.
Hello.
And why don't we go ahead and get this kicked off? Let me pull up the agenda. All right. This is the Inference Gateway or Gateway API Inference Extension Community Meeting for December 11th, 2025. I'm your host today, Damian Hansen. The meeting and project is governed by CNCF guidelines, which boils down to being kind to one another. I think everyone's been doing that, so thank you. And let's look into the agenda here. Let me share my screen. Well, we've got an awfully light agenda for today. So let's take a look at our AIs from last week. Probably going to need some help from some folks since these AIs, some of them do not have names associated with them. Who was responsible? Does anyone know if anyone who was responsible for creating the lower sinker deprecation issue?
Um, I can create the issue. I was actually going to talk about this. We have a maintainers meeting right after this. I was going to talk about 1.3 and this comes up. So we can consider that resolved as we'll talk about it in a few
Okay. Um, let's go ahead and figure out SG Lang adoption story. Reach out to Shmuel. Shmuel, I see.
My bad. I did not do that. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. How are
Yeah,
you?
no worries. It happens. We just want to keep tracking this stuff, so we'll just bump it to AIs for today, and we could sync back up on it with you again. Is Bob on the call? Let me see here and
Oh,
participant.
yes, yes, I'm on the call.
Ah, awesome, Bob. So check this Laura file. Can you take a moment and give us updates on these AIs here?
Yeah, this is like we wanted to switch to the VLM newly introduced feature called File Resolver, so that we don't need to use the syncer to call load LoRa or unload LoRa to dynamically load or unload LoRa. But the issue is like SGLong doesn't support this. I checked the SGLong and played with it, and but I found like SGLong natively support the syncer, and I tried it out, and it works well out of box with the syncer method. So yeah, probably if we are gonna deprecate the syncer, probably I'll just maybe add a document, um, add a sentence in our documentation like this does not work with SGLong. If you want to use dynamic load LoRa, probably we still need to use the LoRa syncer. But I don't know like what's the opinion from the maintainers for this.
minutes. I think for the short term that's fine. It, and we mentioned this last week, but the sinker we cut a new version every time, but I don't think it's changed since its initial implementation. So
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine for us to pull it out and say like if you still need to use this, we have plenty of old versions that support it, um, and feel
Okay.
free to use those. And
Okay.
then I would love to see if SGLang can support the file resolver format. I think that's a lot more operationally simple, but
Yeah, I
that
agree
could
with
be
that.
a totally different thread. But cool. Thanks for looking into this, Bob.
Yeah, Bob, do you have any cycles where you can maybe open an issue on SG Lang to see if they're willing to implement the file resolver? So
Yeah.
maybe when they do in the future, we could have the coverage for both
Yeah.
VLM and
Sure.
SG Lang using the same
Sure.
implementation.
Yeah, I can create a issue for the SGL.
Take a further look to catch a similar
Yeah,
fix.
so this is like due to the inference model rewrites CRD, and I forgot to update the customization under the CRD folder, and the Shmuel helped me to fix that. But like taking a deeper look, the E2E testing is not using the same way as a getting started guide. So just this PR is just a tiny one to let the E2E testing to use customize to install all the CRDs. The old way is like we are hard coding those file paths to the manifest of the CRD in the E2E testing. So like, yeah, so personally, I feel this will like mimic like the way the users are following the guiding start guide. So yeah.
Okay. Nir, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so just to add context, first, I think this is an important issue that we should have this fix included. So just only because you were out of office on PTO, so to give context, we had the release of 1.2.0. So we started with the release candidate. Everything was fine. We made that a final release, and then we found out. So I think it was maybe Shmuel or Maya that works with Shmuel that if you don't have the CRD of the inference model rewrite, then EPP fails to start. And then Shmuel pushed a fix to do that, and we made a patch release. So that was like a critical bug in terms of newcomers. If they try to follow the quick start, EPP doesn't start. So we made a patch release out of that. And I think, yeah, as Bob mentioned, if we can run the tests exactly as the quick start guide shows, that would be the best, because we could have catched this issue if it was covered.
Actually need RBAC. I don't think you need to have the CRD installed at the end of the day. What you needed was the RBAC set up correctly, and that would work. So if the RBAC in the end-to-end test is correct, then we might not have noticed it, but that's fine.
Okay.
It's still a good idea. It's still a good idea. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, I see.
Just aside.
So do we feel like we need to release a patch release with this PR?
No, like I think 1 year is it's already released the fix of the previous.
Yeah, we tested the fix manually and made a patch release. This is already done. Like we have now the version 1.2.1, which includes the fix. That was tested manually. It works. The thing is that once we find a blocker or a critical bug that we think worth a patch release, it is always a good idea to add a test to cover that path so that it won't happen again. So this is what I was trying to say.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Thank you for that context. After the meeting, I'll do a review of this and tag it. All looks good. All right. Cool. Bob, thanks for moving forward with these AIs for this PR. And let's go back to our agenda. All right, Nir, I see you added an agenda item, adaptive configuration of scheduler plugins. Pull this up. And do you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, so this is basically a new issue that I just opened. This is something that I've been discussing with Kellen for a while, and also with some of the team members within IBM. So I'll try to give some background and context. So basically what we have today in EPP, and more specifically in the scheduler, and I'm intentionally talking only about the scheduler at this point. We might take this to the other layers as we move forward, but let's start simple. So I'll focus on the scheduler. What we have today, and I'll even focus on a specific plugin, which is the scorer. Our scorers, they're biased to some category. So basically, we can split the different scorers into two main families, two main categories. The one category is like the one that tends to be sticky. Okay, so you can think about the most simple example is like session-based scorer that gives highest score if the pod already served that multi-turn chat, and then we have some session ID. But it also can include prefix cache, the estimated prefix cache, or the precise KV cache, whatever, any use of cache. It tends to be sticky. And then there is the other family, the other category of scorers, which tends to, so it aims to evenly distribute the load between the various pods in the pool. So basically, these two categories, these two scorers, they pull in opposite directions. And we don't really know what is the optimal configuration. And not only that we don't know what is the optimal configuration, we think, and when I say we, so I mentioned I talked with Kellen and others, we think there is no one optimal configuration because the requests are not uniform, right? They are changing. The cache state is not always the same. The request rate and size is not always the same. Everything is different or could be different between different requests. And this thing has to be adaptive in a way that if the load is evenly distributed, then obviously, yes, we want to pull in the direction of maximizing the cache hits. And we want to pull into the direction of stickiness. But if after a while that we use this stickiness approach, we found out that there is a subset of the pods that is very, very loaded, and the other subset or the other, let's say, most of the pool is idle and not doing anything, we want to like adapt the weights of the scorers so that the even distribution scorers gets higher weight in some sense, so that the load will be distributed, the overloaded pods will get more time, idle time, and the idle pods will get more work to work on. So this is basically this issue. We need to do a proper design and obviously come with a proposal and implementation. And I wrote, it's not exactly why it is needed, but I wrote there in the bottom that we also need to do some benchmarking and prove that we actually improved something. So this is basically the issue. Before creating a proposal about that, I want to like to give a heads up, maybe hear some thoughts from more people here, from more contributors. What do you think? Do you have any directions or anything about that?
Wait.
Anyone?
Done silence. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I just want, before I really commented, I wanted to double check something. Anyways, I want to understand where the weight, if the plugin knows the weights, or just the profile has the weights, and then it gets passed in when it's called.
Yeah, the plugin doesn't know the weight. And I was intentionally taking the simplest example that we have today in the plugins, but you can think about other examples, and I'll use, just because I see there is silence and there are no comments about that, I'll use another example just to give more context. So basically, we have the metrics collection, that collects metrics every 50 millisec, which is obviously too slow in production environments, but let's assume this is what we have. And usually when we see like a burst of requests, what we see is that all the requests in the same burst are usually picking the same pod because they're all seeing the same state of the data when they process the request, because there is this time window of 50 millisec until the next time the data is collected. So if I know, for example, that the pod that is going to get selected is really, really busy, and I know that there is a burst of requests, I could potentially select the endpoint to serve the request in a more wise way. And there is some benchmark that showed improved performance when we used in this specific use case, when a pod is overloaded and we do a burst, like a series of burst requests. When we use the random weighted picker, which is using the weighted score for randomness probability, that provided much better performance than the max score picker. So I'm not saying that this is what we're going to start with, but this is just another example for a path that we can explore, and we can try to see if we can extract from the incoming requests and understand something about the state of the system so we can reconfigure or adapt dynamically, something along these lines. So it's like, I would say, a spike story or a spike issue. We need to research, evaluate, do some proof of concept and show the value. But we do believe that this has a strong value for improving the performance, because essentially I don't think there is one configuration that can be optimized for any given load and any given pattern of requests. This is the bottom line. Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, I think the key is what you say here is benchmarking the proof of concept, right? To see if we're actually getting the results that we want.
Yeah, for me, I just want to echo Nir's pain point here. Recently, we also have another person testing this benchmarking internal Google, and what he was testing is like using the VRM bench serve tool, and he set the request rate to infinite. And then, so this is exactly the bursty traffic pattern. He sent like 8,000 requests directly to the inference gateway, and then in this workload, the inference gateway performs worse than the baseline, the Kubernetes service.
Wow.
And that this is because like the unbalanced traffic, all the requests tends to send to the same nodes, same pods. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks Bob for putting the link in the chat. So Daniel, you can grab the link. So this is the issue I was talking about. So we had some benchmarking in LLMD where we compared these bursty workloads when using just our default, the max score picker. You can grab the link from the chat, yeah, and versus using the weighted random picker. So this is somewhere at the bottom. I think if you scroll down, yeah, a bit more. Here it is, I think. Bursty. Yeah. So we can see big improvement in terms of percentage. And when they write here top score picker, this is our max score picker, what we all know. And weighted random picker is something that Juho from this issue worked on, and I made another iteration. So this is also in our repo in the pickers. So this is just a picker that uses the weighted score of a pod to be the probability when selecting randomly a pod with some probabilities. So we can see that there is a major improvement in the performance in bursty workloads. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to use the weighted random picker. I'm just saying that in some scenarios, if we can identify them and we know that in these scenarios, one picker is better than the other, we can switch dynamically. And then when their load comes back to be like more evenly and not in bursts, we can come back to the max score picker, which in general, in regular traffic, it provides better performance.
But so you want to change pickers. You don't want to just change weights.
We do want to start with changing weights. So the first POC will focus on scores. And I was just raising like another idea, another direction that could be explored, because we know that in this example, the improvement was already like it is proven. It was benchmarked and proven, and we know that it optimizes the performance like significantly. So this is just another
No, but this is
option.
easier, right? I mean, to implement this, all you really assuming I just don't remember off the top of my head if the profile handler has access to the metrics, right?
Yeah, it has.
You could implement this simply. I mean, with this particular case, right, where you're switching pickers by switching profiles.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Go
think
ahead, Cal.
Near's suggestion is that we're going to be exploratory, and kind of whatever gives the best performance, we want to do that, and we'll
Oh,
augment the framework accordingly. I was just kind of brainstorming about this, and I could see a scenario in which we ca categorize scorers into groups, right? Like this is like you mentioned, a sticky group. So that that's our prefix cache, and I was theory crafting earlier this week that approximate and precise prefix cache scorers can actually work together. I think they do separate things. So those could be like a sticky group, and then you have your running requests, your KV utilization, which are kind of your load group, and then you could potentially dynamically weight those, which then allows you to keep a static config. So anyways, this is all very exploratory, and again, kind of whatever works is what we will pursue, and hopefully whatever has the best UX. But I think this is exciting. Just to throw my hat in the ring. Sorry, Nir.
Yeah, go ahead, Kellen. If you have more like things to add, I was talking enough.
No, we're good. Yeah, I just wanted to throw my piece in there, just kind of how I see this going, just what my first initial reactions are.
Yeah.
of course.
And Nir, you may want to link. I guess I can.
Yes,
I was
this
going to
is a
say
good
link.
idea. Yeah.
Or I'll go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Different issue, different issue.
Oh,
You put it on the
uh-oh.
on the customized issue.
Oh, shoot.
No big deal. Sorry, I just noticed it. Right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm jumping around here a little too much.
I get it. I get it.
Interesting.
Is it here?
And maybe the solution here, by the way, maybe the solution here is actually to fix the picker, to make the picker more dynamic. I'm just thinking out loud. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Again, if the picker, I don't remember if a picker has access to the metrics, but this would be also a case where the picker knows, on some threshold that can be configured with thresholds when it does this switch.
it should have access to the scored endpoints, which I think include the data. They should. Um,
Yeah,
but
there's the values, I think. I don't think you get the raw.
if it's just scores and names, we could probably change that because it's all just snapshotted and it's really not like a huge risk to share those endpoints there.
The question is, what metrics does it need? Does it need the pod metrics? Does it need something more global to understand what's going on?
I I mean, and that's part of the whole producer consumer model is we don't know because again, we should I kind of design under the assumption that all plugins will be out of tree. And so then I feel like it helps me think about the problem better. So we don't know what the data will be. So as long as it's part of that producer consumer framework, it should have access to whatever data it needs.
I see. So you're saying it should be a plugin, some other plugin that's a producer that somehow summarizes the metrics, and then this thing consumes that and then goes from there. That
Or
works.
or just yeah, says I need to look at these metrics to make or these chunks of data to make decisions. And then it on startup, the system just ensures that that data does exist.
You get it. Yes.
All right, well, back to the agenda. I don't see any other agenda items. We captured some AIs from the meeting.
Um, can I add?
Yeah, we have time, so Shmuel, feel free to.
I was just so Luke made a PR, had a PR about transient, I think he called it transient plugins. Okay. And I believe Kellen also commented on this. We both commented that we thought this was a bad idea, fundamentally. Okay. He needs state. What was the bottom line is he's saying he needs state for the plugins now, right? Where theoretically plugins are stateless.
To to clarify, that was his first he first reach for that. Um, he said he was going to try your approach where we make the plugin stateless because I completely agree with you. I think the plugin should be stateless and do a very specific thing. Um, this transient nature would basically just leave the behavior wide open, um, which I think is I was really concerned about basically that pushes all responsibility to the implementer rather than, hey, just implement this feature, this area, and you can customize the behavior. This transient would really just basically allow you to drop in a completely new flow control implementation, which uh, I think my concern was that undermines the utility of the framework rather than look, we solve a lot of the problems for you, but we leave what you want customizable. Um, so that's my biggest gripe. Sorry, I totally cut you off, Chanel. But
No, 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 no. It's perfectly fine. I'm looking for agreement in how to proceed here. That's what I really want to make sure happens.
yeah, I think Luke agrees, and he's going to make an attempt to show both options, uh,
Okay.
just so that he can have concrete to kind of explain the pros and cons. But I,
Okay.
yeah, unless there's like a something I'm not seeing and a really strong case for it, I would like to make the plugins as thin as possible.
I agree. I mean, even we already have cycle state in theory in the scheduler plugins, right? And you could add something like that here too. I mean, if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah,
At the end of the day, it's still state. It's still some sort of even cycle state is a string mapping into any, right? Every
right.
guy has their own thing there they stick in there, right? And the same thing could be, you could do it that way here, or just pass, as I said, do it, the the C flavor of doing state. You have an
Yeah.
object, you have this object that gets, this thing that gets passed around, and only the plugin knows what to do with it.
Mhm. Well,
So
and exactly. And again, like the producer consumer model should work here too. It just that plugin just specifies whatever data it needs, and so long as everything's wired up correctly, it should just have that data.
it's
Um,
not, but here the problem is his plugin is actually a queue handler. So the queue
no,
is
I yes, right, right,
that
and
was
right,
so the producer model won't work.
and I I'm hoping he has an example where he uses the producer consumer model so it all works. Because that was the other thing is this would be uh, a jump in the pattern that we've established with our plugins so far. So flow control would kind of be isolated. Um, but
Agreed.
we'll see. I think we're still kind of exploring here what will
Okay,
fit.
no problem. That's enough. That's good enough. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so we're at the end of the agenda. Any other topics that we want to add? Otherwise, we can wrap things up a little early.
Um,
Helen, go ahead.
yeah. So Anna, just don't respond to me if you want, but I see that you're here on the call and you've had a few questions. I just want to make sure that we are in like if you need anything from EPP or anything isn't really adding up, I would love to hear from you. I know that you're kind of working to see what this looks like in a Dynamo implementation, so just would love to get feedback there.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, thank you for giving me a chance to talk. Yeah, so what we've done is we integrated our framework into inference extension with the aggregated serving only at this point. And the issue is that the way we designed that whole servant pipeline was just the one pass architecture where we have like a dedicated front end. Then it sends response to the router, preprocess the router, then the VLM, then we get back the response, which goes through the decoding, post-processing, and then we return it back. So because of this EPP, which is a two-pass architecture, what I'm doing is I'm splitting my pipeline to fit into your guys' architecture. Um, right now, I'm working on supporting disaggregated serving. And yeah, thank you for responding. It looks like the protocol has not been verified, kind of confirmed yet in your system. So I guess I'm just going to do it the way OLMD does. I'm just going to add the same type of headers and
Okay.
and and take care of it that way. Um, I guess I'm kind of a little bit struggling overall to
Okay.
understand what is the border between you guys and LLMD because like what part of the design is on the gateway API side and what part of the design is on LLMD? Like who is handling what? Like I'm guess I'm trying to make a use case as to what we as Dynamo are gonna gain by integrating with the inference gateway for free, right? What is it that we can get out of it without that we don't have?
Yeah, that is a fair bit of feedback, I think, because a lot of us uh, flow back and forth. And in fact, I'll see guides and documentation that I think belongs in Inference Gateway, but is in LLMD.
Hmm.
So I think that is a fair bit of feedback. I will take my best stab, and I'd love to hear from Mir and Damien. But I would say that things that belong in upstream, we have framework decisions. All framework things I think belong in upstream. We then have some plugins are in Inference Gateway, some are in LLMD. So we kind of consider maybe our more adopted plugins in Inference Gateway. But that doesn't answer your question. Your question is what does Dynamo get for free? Uh,
Hmm.
So I would say that you would integrate with the LLMD stack by default, which, I think that's valuable. The whole point is we try to make components plug and play. So that would be what I would say is our biggest selling point, is that if you are able to have your plugins in the scheduler, you can integrate with all the VLM things we're doing. We're going to start working with SG soon. WVA is another thing. So that would be my quick elevator pitch. Uh,
Mhm.
but as far as like the struggles there, like I'll poke you on the side and kind of collect it in a more organized way so we can try to tackle it. Mike, you too. But as far as PD goes, I think that is still very much a uh, Wild West area. Not that people are doing a bad job, but it's just kind of untamed, and we're still figuring out exactly what PD looks like. So I think that's why we don't have a protocol quite yet. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's take it offline.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add my 2 cents on top of what Kellen said. So, in general, I agree. Um, just trying to add more about drawing the line of the separation between inference extension and LLMD. So basically, I think that the way we treat it today is that LLMD serves us as some place to do incubation. Okay, we want to try um, new capabilities that can be, if these new capabilities can be implemented as plugins, we would usually prefer to implement them in LLMD to first provide some value. And if we see this is some common behavior, something that should belong upstream in terms of like it feels like this should be part of the framework, if other projects other than LLMD wants to consume it, then we upstream this capability. And instead of having that in LLMD, we push it to inference extension. So this is basically our intention. And the same goes for disaggregated prefill. I think this was like fairly new, or at least new to us when we added that to LLMD. And we wanted like to show the value. This is still not standardized because there are still a lot of debates around what is the optimal way to do it. When we started at the beginning, there was a discussion whether we should select upfront a P and a D endpoint, or we should select only one of them and then do a later selection of the second. There are some pros and cons for each of the selections, whether you choose one way or another. But we wanted to have something working so we can start benchmarking, so we can start testing whether it actually works and if it works good, if it has value. So the incubation place was LLMD. I assume that eventually when features, we can say when features graduate, they should come back to inference extension repo.
Gotcha. That
So this
actually
is
clears a lot of a lot for me. That comment you just made. Yeah, thank you, because I was really confused.
So,
Which is the one?
so an additional example of this, I guess, is data parallel support. So I added the data parallel support. Um, so part of it was added to GIE to upstream, okay, which basically supports multiple target ports on an inference pool and creates sufficient endpoints. We had a problem with Istio, which has since been fixed in Istio 1.28.1. Um, but until then, what we did was we added some code to the sidecar in inference scheduler. Part of inference scheduler, there's a sidecar that you can run that we use for PD, and we extended it to support data parallel as well. Okay, and hopefully that support will go away in the near future. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
So
regarding the disaggregated serving, I just wanted to know that I looked at the LM decode and it does seem that first we do the decode and then the decode calls the prefields. I know you don't guys support the TRTLM at this time, but they actually do the opposite. They pick the prefield first. Just something to think about.
we pick both actually. We pick both. We send it to the decode. You're right. The request gets sent to the decode pod, which
Right.
is running the sidecar, and the sidecar orchestrates the processing from there on.
Oh, also the sidecar can then send it to the prefield first and then do the decode.
That's what
Yeah.
it does. That's
Oh,
what it
okay.
does. It's physically in the decode pod.
I see.
Okay, it's part of the decode pod, but the thing that's listening is the sidecar, not VLM.
Have
Mhm.
have you all tried both approaches?
So it depends. For VLM, we do the decode first, and then we pull the information from the prefill. So that
Mhm.
fits. I'm not, I just know that TLM does the opposite way in our framework. But I guess for now, the extent of inference gateway support is only VLM. So I didn't make
Are
a too much noise for about it.
are both workers selected at the same time?
No.
It's a queue.
Um,
Okay.
Use a queue, don't you?
do we use a queue?
I thought you used a queue. I remember one time
We
we
are
looked at
looking
that.
into supporting prefill queue, but it's not yet implemented as far as I know.
Oh, because I thought it was that the request went to the decode, then it got stuck on a queue someplace, and then a free pre-code pre-fill worker picked it up, did the work, sent back a result,
Well,
some sort of that. But maybe I was wrong. Sorry.
if you're routing D first, then you want to pick them both at the same time. It's only if you're routing to P first would you even think about, in my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is if yeah, you kind of have to pick a P worker if you pick a D worker, otherwise it's just going to sit there. But yeah, I don't know. I know we've kind of gone back and forth on this. I would still be interested to see if someone sees benefit from disjointing the selection, because I think there's value in starting the KV cache stream as soon as possible. But
If you can
anyway,
stream, one of the big ones is if you can stream, if you have the ability to stream the results from prefill while it's happening.
right, exactly. And then what if you get in the weird state, like if you disjoint the selection, what if you get in the weird state where all your D workers are packed? And so you're just your pre-fill KV cache is honestly just kind of sitting there taking up space, waiting to be offloaded somewhere. Maybe you would convert that P worker to a D worker in that case. But anyways, sorry, I'm just kind of theory crafting. But
There's
cool.
thought. There's actually thought within IBM to loosen up the differentiation between the D workers and the P workers, to put it that way, right? Because there's really no difference at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So I'm being
Yeah, yeah. Rob and I discussed that too. But sorry, this is totally off track. Um, cool. On my end, yeah, Mike, Anna, I'll reach out to you both.
Sounds good. Thank
Happy,
you.
happy to get feedback there.
Nir, your hand raised.
Yeah. So we have a bit more time, and Kevin mentioned that we do have a maintainers meeting after this call. So I did wanted to raise a question for everyone on this call. So we do want to start planning the next release 1.3. Is there any issue, any requirement, any topic that seems important to anyone in this call that you think should be included in the next version, the next release? Okay, I would ask the opposite direction. What do you think should not be included? But that would probably include too much information. So Please feel free if there is anything and maybe you are too shy to chime in here, or if you don't remember now, but you'll get to that later. Just let us know what is the issue, and we'll try to see if we can get that into the next version. Yeah, Kellen, go ahead.
Yeah, to tack onto that, thank you for bringing this up. We will get the exact date figured out, but I just threw one out. And we are thinking to start or I am thinking to start the RC on January 6th. So that is the first Tuesday after the big holiday break. And then aspirationally cutting the true release a week after that, which is the 13th. So once we finish the meeting and we agree on a date, we can share it in the Slack channel. But just kind of calling that out so that people can kind of have a rough idea of the range we're planning for.
Yeah, and feel free to communicate to us in any channel you want. So, for example, I've seen already an issue that was opened where the author of the issue just added a comment. I am intending to include this in release 1.3. But this is also a valid way. Just let us know somehow.
Can an issue be opened and referenced here? That would be the
Yeah.
easiest thing. The open issue, planning issue, people can just add comments referencing other issues or whatnot. That would be easy.
Yeah, I think we can have an issue. Yeah.
Alien open one, right?
Yeah, maybe we already have one.
Yeah, he does. It's 1830. I'll put it in chat here.
No, just put it here in the minutes. That's the best place.
Yeah, I don't have the doc open, but I will do that too.
I got it. I'm in the process
Okay.
of doing it, Colin.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Happy to. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up. We give everyone 10 minutes back, and I can refill my coffee before our maintainers meeting. So thank you everyone for joining, and pretty awesome to see going into a meeting with really no agenda, and we're able to dynamically add the agenda and have a good meeting. So I appreciate it, and we'll catch you online.
All right. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.